Greetings and welcome to The Poor Redneck. And today we're going to talk about Po But Proud. Back in the 1970s and early 1980s, there was a restaurant in Anderson, South Carolina known as Po Folks. It was founded by country music singer Bill Anderson. And their tagline was, "We po, but we sure are proud." Well, that's what we can be now, is we can be poor but still be proud. As in, we can hold our head up high, we can know that we're doing all that we can. Okay, now the same scenario from the video before where you lost your job through no fault of your own. The IRS tagged the door so that and froze all the assets of the business, so you're not getting paid even though you're due a paycheck. Your credit cards are tapped out, everything's maxed out. You've already tapped your overdraft protection on your checking account. Your car payment's due, and that's okay because when they repossess your car, they're not going to get much gas because the fuel warning indicator light is on in your car. Okay, but we're not to that point yet about the car being repossessed. We talked about that in the last episode of this. Anyway, but the same scenario. Okay, now's the time you can use a quote from Scarlett O'Hara in the movie Gone with the Wind, which is, "As God is my witness, I'll never be hungry again." Well, you can change that a little bit and say, "As God is my witness, I'll never be poor again." Because now you're down here at this level. Now you can say, okay, from this point forward, I'm going to squeeze every bit out of every penny that I get. First of all, we need to look at what can you cut. What can we cut to reduce your amount of outgo? What is there that you can cut back on? Well, one thing you can do is you can disconnect your home phone. Okay, with your home phone, you may need it, and that's something you have to think about. This is on a case-by-case basis. Now remember, this is not a substitute for financial advice. This is not a substitute for your financial professional, like your accountant, your financial advisor, or whatever. So you need to use this information, use the advice we're giving you at your own risk. Alright, you can cut out your telephone, you can cut back on your television. There are several different things that you can do. Okay, first of all, let's talk about your television. Okay, pretty much anything you can watch on television, with some exceptions, you can watch on the internet for free. Now, you might not be able to watch some of the sports channels, you might not be able to get some of the premium movies, but there's plenty of stuff left over to watch. There's YouTube and Hulu and Netflix, and if you're a member of Amazon Prime, then there are a whole lot of free instant videos that you can watch on your television. Now, if you have an older television, you might need something like a Roku. Now, this right here costs about 49 bucks. It's a one-time fee. Maybe a little more now, but several years ago for $49, we purchased this. Simple, you have the RF inputs on the back for your video, your left and your right channels of audio. You have a place for your Ethernet cable to plug in if you have Ethernet. Otherwise, it'll pick up via Wi-Fi. You've got a place for HDMI, and so you can basically get your information for your Roku over the internet, coming through the Ethernet cable, through the wireless. And so what's available on Roku? Well, there's a lot of free channels available on Roku. One thing we found is Lecture Kings. There's a lot of college level lectures that are very interesting, but you can also access Netflix if you have a Netflix account, which costs you, we pay like $8.60 for Netflix, and that includes the tax. I think it's like $7.99 plus tax, and here in Texas it's 8.25% sales tax. So let's say for under $10 you can get Netflix. For right at $99 a month plus $99 a year plus tax, you can get Amazon Prime, which includes free borrowing of one book per month from the Amazon Lending Library. It also gets you free access to some of the internet, the instant videos you can watch on your television. If you've got an internet capable television, then you might not need the Roku. But if you don't, you can access that on the Amazon Prime. You can also watch the Amazon Prime videos and Netflix on your computer. You can pick up Hulu and YouTube and just dozens of other different television networks out there where you can watch older movies, comedies, sitcoms, just all the old classics, or not all of them, but a lot of the old classics are available on the internet in different places. Okay, now another thing you can do is you can cut back on your telephone. Now, we already talked about cutting back on your home phone. If you have a home phone, you may want to see if it would work for you to disconnect your home telephone and rely strictly on your cell phone. Okay, chances are good people are going to call you on your cell phone most of the time. If you don't have a cell phone and all you have is a home phone, then it may be something that you need to hang on to. There are alternatives to that. There's several internet-based telephone systems like the Magic Jack, where you pay like $20 a year and you have unlimited phone calls with set up like a home phone. You can actually plug your regular home telephone into it, pick it up, talk just like normal. What we found, we have our regular, had a contract service with AT&T, and of course it's the same with most contract carriers, that you pay an arm and a leg for the different contract services. Usually they'll give you a phone for free, but then you're locked in. And what we found, we had smartphones, and with the smartphones we were paying for data. And when we first started out, we were told by AT&T that it's going to be a certain amount, $40, and that covers all the phones. Okay, well, it ended up that it was $40 per phone plus the data plan, and that ended up being just way too much. As a matter of fact, we were paying right at $300 a month for 4 phones, and we couldn't afford that. And so we had to choose to do something. Well, we couldn't go out and just buy brand new phones, but we found out we had old phones that had been we had upgraded from a few years back, these old flip phones, and we were able to go to Walmart and purchase a bring your own phone from GoPhone, AT&T of all things, but several of the no contract carriers like Straight Talk Wireless, Net 10, TracFone, T-Mobile, several of them have a bring your own phone plan. And what comes inside this is a little, I want to call it a universal chip, universal SIM card, where you pop out as much of the SIM card as you need. Now be very careful, because if you pop out too much, you can't put it back together. These phones use the largest ones. The smartphones use this little teeny tiny portion of it. So be careful popping it out. But there's a SIM card that comes in these things. This costs just under $10, and then with tax about almost $11 with tax. That's a one-time fee. Okay, so rather than going out and buying a brand new phone for $60, $70, $100, several $100 like this, or a smartphone, you buy this. It's a bring your own phone plan, SIM card in a box. You go online, you activate it, and then for $30 a month you get unlimited text and talk, no data. All right, but they have other plans where you can get unlimited text and talk and a certain amount of data. And you just have to compare. Your situation will be different. You'll need to go and talk with someone at the kiosk at the Walmart and get some advice, or read online, find out what works best for you. But that works as a good way to cut back on your phone bill. We found that we went from right at $300 a month to $90 a month. Now, one thing we did, though, is we cut out one line of the phone service, because my wife and I are almost always together, and so we didn't need a phone. What we needed was a phone for each of our 2 children that are still here in the United States, to be able to stay in contact with us while they're at college. So this was a good alternative for us. Okay, another thing that some friends of ours did, well, I'll get to that here in just a minute. One thing we found is that once we disconnected the contract service, is that you could still use some of the features, like some of the apps on the smartphone, via Wi-Fi. And we're going to get into some of the smartphone apps here in another episode. But that was important to us, being able to use these smartphone apps. So we weren't without that. Now what I was going to tell you about is a friend of ours, or a couple of friends of ours, they needed to cut back on their bills just like we've had to. And they found that rather than renting an apartment and making furniture payments, utility payments, and that type of thing, that they were actually better off by going and staying at one of these extended stay motels. You have a television, you have internet access, you have a refrigerator, a stove, a microwave, and the telephone, the local phone, the landline, the internet access. All this is compacted into one monthly payment or one weekly payment, or however you go to rent it. And that's something that you might want to check into. There may be an extended stay hotel, motel in your area that will offer or will have rates that will make it cheaper for you to stay versus renting an apartment or a house. Definitely cheaper than buying in some cases, because you don't have the maintenance, you don't have the different upkeeps, you don't have the taxes and that type of thing that are involved with home ownership. Obviously, it would be nice to own your own home if that's possible, but sometimes in these situations, home ownership just isn't possible. But we'll get to that point sometime in the near future. Anyway, I wanted to discuss those things with you. There are a whole lot of other things we're going to share with you in some future posts, like how to actually make money while you're in the store, how to have the stores pay you to take merchandise from the store, other ways where you can go out to eat and have somebody else pay for it. And I'm not talking about going and begging from your friends. We'll give you some different ideas on couponing, but not the extreme couponing where you go out and you spend 40 hours a week trying to save $12 on a grocery shopping spree, but actually being able to save with coupons, save with phone apps, save with rebates, and a few other things. We'll tell you about that here in some future episodes. We'll look forward to seeing you then. Want to shout out to all the different countries that we've seen that have come on, that we see have logged on to see these videos and to read our blogs. We've seen from Japan, Singapore, China, and Germany is one that we see quite often in there. And there's just a host of places that you never would have thought were looking for to learn how to live like a redneck. And we're not talking about really learning to live like a redneck. We're talking about saving money and getting out of debt. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Good luck. God bless. Drop us an email to gindysvideos@gmail.com. That's gindysvideos@gmail.com. We'll look to see you there. Drop us a note. Let us know what you think. Thank you.